Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new standards of excellence.
Yes.
Say yes to engaging reportage with a difference.
Yes.
Introducing Yes International Magazine. The time to say yes to your dreams and aspirations is here.
Welcome to another edition of our Instagram Live. My name hasn't changed. My name remains Azu Arinze, your regular host. Our guest tonight is Mr. Soni Irabor. Mr. Soni Irabor was born on March 23, 1952. He's a broadcaster par excellence. I hope I got that correctly. I'm not a broadcaster, I'm a journalist, but I belong to the print aspect. He's also an astute media manager of men and resources. He is a highly sought after communications consultant and speech trainer. He's a quintessential talk show host, event compere and toast master. Mr. Soni Irabor is married to Madam Betty Irabor, the publisher of the beautiful Genevieve magazine, and the union is blessed with 2 children, Sonia and Rui. Mr. Soni Irabor is also the Chief Executive Officer of Rui Communications Limited. He is a mass communication graduate of the University of Lagos. He was also at some point the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Inspiration FM. He, however, wrote his name in gold at the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, but back then it was known as the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation. He actually joined NBC in 1977 and rose to the pinnacle of, from where he grew. Tonight he'll be tutoring us on what it means, what it takes to be a good broadcaster. To have a taste of success, in broadcasting, what must one do?
A lot of research. A lot of you have to do research. You have to do your job well. You have to be accepted by the people that you serve. You know, it's really, it's not cast in stone, but you just have to be working hard at it, and you have to be up to date. We went through a series of training, and you know what that means. When you are doing training, they'll be telling you all kinds of stories. Even when you think you don't do well, somebody will now tell you didn't do well at all, you know. So, okay, I think, am I shining better?
You're shining better now, sir.
You're looking better than I am doing. You are younger than me. Right. So, to be successful means a lot of hard work. Let me just put it like that.
All right. What mistakes must a broadcaster not make?
It's like saying, what can a man do not to go to the toilet? Series of mistakes abound. A broadcaster should not make a mistake that he knows is wrong, and then he still goes ahead and makes that mistake. If you make a mistake, own up to it and just move on. Don't dwell on it. So I think the mistake that I must not make as a broadcaster would be that I have an information at my disposal, and I did not do enough research to authenticate that mistake, or to make the mistake a lie, or anything that can rubbish my effort at telling the truth, is one major problem. The other thing is, don't try to be holier than thou. Don't try to know more than you should know. If you don't know, you don't know. But if you do enough research, you might be able to reduce the element of not knowing what you should know. So those are basic issues. So it's like a normal human being. We are all prone to mistakes, but we must endeavor not to make too many mistakes.
Wow, I love that. Now, to speak well, and as a broadcaster, what must one do?
To speak well.
Yes.
Come to my training school. I have a training school for teaching. That's the one. But really, you say, I'm a broadcaster.
Yes.
Now, to become a broadcaster, you have to have passed through an audition.
All
the
right.
audition should make you pass the minimum standard.
Okay.
And for you to be called a broadcaster, at least at the basic level, that minimum must mean that, well, you are educated. There's also a minimum requirement. Usually it's the West African School Certificate Examination. That's the kind of WASC we used to call it. But you people call it WAEC now, which is very wrong, but I know. It's WASC, West African School Certificate.
Noted.
Then WAEC is West African Examination Council. So why should I have council when I should be having certificates? That's the truth, but that's very so minimum qualification, WASC or GCE level. And then maximum qualification, of course, ad infinitum, it can be PhD, it can be DSc, but you must have the basic requirement of knowledge acquisition that will keep you in tow. And then you must be expressive. You should be able to speak the language very well. And the language I'm talking about now is the English language, not Pidgin, not Yoruba, Igbo, Edo, Hausa, but the lingua franca, the English language. That's the basic, because that's the medium of expression in Nigeria. Other things will come into play. People like BC Olatilo, for example, who could speak Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba very fluently. Now I envy him. I make him my best friend because I envy him. I say, oh boy, you can't teach me the language, but I think you can translate for me when I hear what I cannot understand. So there are people like that who are very gifted with languages, but you should just be able to express yourself very well in the medium of expression, which is the English language. And then you should have information at your beck and call. You should be up to date with information. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, Uncle Soni, what first got you interested in broadcasting?
I had a friend, and I still do have him. He's my elder friend, my senior friend, Uncle Dele Olowu. Dele Olowu, yes. He was doing HSC. We used to call it HSC, that higher school certificate, in my school, Immaculate Conception College in Benin those days. And there was a popular radio station called Midwest Radio. And so it became Radio Bendel. So, I heard his voice. This was in 1968. On radio. And guess what? His voice was not different from the same voice, soft-spoken, nice, very eloquent, and very jovial. I said, that sounds like a very familiar voice. And then when they were signing him up, say, well, we must thank Dele Olowu. He's been our guest, blah, blah, blah. I said, what? Dele Olowu. So I swore, if that man could be on radio, me, I could be on radio. But I didn't know what I was saying, because this was during the war,
Okay.
And then he came. I said, Uncle. Well, we didn't call him Uncle that time, senior. Were you the one I saw, or rather I heard on radio? I said, yeah. I said, my God. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I said, what is it? I said, no, I really enjoyed it. I didn't know it was you. It sounded like you, though. So it's me. So since that time, I started nursing the ambition. And I think I became involved in 1974 for the first time. And I used to read NBC Mailbag. If I tell you about Mailbag, you will laugh. But go on. Your next question.
Why don't you tell us about the mailbag? I mean, let's.
Mailbag. You know,
Yes, just tell us about.
Yeah. Mailbag was it's like what you have now. You know what you have now is internet, right? Those days, people used to write letters that would go by post to come to Radio Nigeria, and then somebody now created a program called NBC Mail, NBC and Broadcasting Corporation.
Yes. So I'd like to find out from you, what was the most memorable thing that happened the first time you went on air?
I don't know if John Susan is watching your show. If he is, he should just open his ears wide. John Susan, in 1977, I was already employed by Radio Nigeria. Jones Hussein, who was my senior, I was asked to observe him. You see, in those days, when you were brought in, if you were employed and trained, you were not allowed to go on air for at least 3 months. You know why? Because they want you to observe whoever the announcer on duty is, and sometimes you observe in a day, you can observe 3 different announcers. You become familiar with their styles, and you also understand their mistakes, and then of course they put you through the norm. So Jones was saying one of those observations, I was with Jones, and this was the night duty. Night duty was 6 p.m. to midnight. And so when it was midnight, Jones said I should read the midnight news. Now, we were not allowed to go on. We're not allowed to read or even face that microphone for any reason. Your job was just to observe. So anyway, John Susan said, Soni, read this. And I said, no, I can't, I wouldn't dare. So, okay, 12 o'clock, boom, it's 12 o'clock. This is, feigned a coughing fit. Started coughing heavily. Then now say, Soni, continue. Don't create any gap. There should be no gap, no dead air, no this. Just continue. So out of panic, I took the where he stopped, and then with a tiny voice like this, I didn't know that was my voice or not my voice. I started reading the news. So I started reading the news though, and I finished the news. He said I should finish, and he was lying on the floor. He was like this, looking at me and laughing. At you know how it is when you do mysterious. Jones Hussein, I don't know if any of you remember the Citizen Jones on TVC or Max Radio. You will know.
Yes, I do.
The guy is the Roger Ramjet. The guy scattered my head. I said, okay. And he said, you did very well. Why are you so shy? I said, no, beg, don't put me in trouble. I was so scared. So that was one experience, and I can never forget it. I don't know what you would do if you were one.
Thank you very much, Uncle. Thank you very much, Uncle. What a beautiful experience. Now, Uncle, I need you to tell us the most embarrassing day you've had on air.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, I remember that. This was when Shagari was the president of Nigeria. Yes, and okay, I read the news. You know, I was mainly a newsreader most of the time. And in reading that news, I said President Shehu Shagari went to the central bank to worship. Now, if you listen to what I'm saying carefully, probably understand that you are not going. What are you worshiping in West Central Bank? But the mistake was alignment in such a way that the first news was central bank. The following news was central mosque. You getting the common gender there, the central.
Yeah.
So
central.
I finished the story on central bank. It was okay. And then I went to President Shehu Shagari was at the central bank today to worship. with other faithfuls and all that. And I didn't know the mistake I made until well into, I think it was either the break or towards the end of the news. Somebody said to me, I think it was one of our directors, came down and says, Mr. Irabor, what did you just say? Say what, sir? What did I just say, sir? You said President Shehu Shekari did what?
Went to the central bank.
Said, so the man now worships money or what? Now, and we used to record all our news. No matter what, we must record it. And you're not the one recording it. The studio manager, that was a whole different department, studio management. So anything that passes through that thing that goes on air is recorded. So the man insisted that they should play back that tape. Can you imagine the shame that enveloped me when it turned out that I said President Shehu Shagari went to the central bank
instead of the central mosque?
Instead of the central mosque. Can you forgive anybody? How did he not remove me from that job? I don't know.
Wow.
You know? So talking about embarrassment, that's the most embarrassing one.
Wow. Nice one. Nice one. Now, Uncle, what is the greatest thing, that broadcasting has done for you?
Oh, I've been everywhere. Broadcasting sent me to the United States of America. I was a member of I was sponsored by the United States Information Service that time, which is now U.S. Public Affairs Department, on a 6 weeks to about actually 2 months training and tour of the U.S. I toured media houses. I went to so many radio stations, so many TV stations, and so many newspaper stations, and then I visited 3 universities, University of Arizona, Tucson, Arizona, Syracuse University, and that's in New York State, and another one in San Francisco. I don't remember the name now. But what that opened for me was several contacts and so many opportunities that I eventually took advantage of. It was very memorable for me because it also gave me an opportunity to visit Larry King live in his studio on July 5 or so, 1986. And I was his guest with the former National Security Advisor for Jimmy Carter. His name is a very complex name. It's called Zbigniew Brzezinski, and it was quite an experience because meeting that man, listening to him, Larry King, gave me the boldness, the reassurance that I could also do well. So when I came back, immediately I set up Radio Link. And I came back in about 2 months later, and Radio Link started towards the, I think before the station could approve it, must have taken several months, yes. But we finally started a year later, that's July 4, 1987. And Radio Link is what gave birth to Soni Irabor Live. And Radio Link is still running on Radio Nigeria till today. And Soni Irabor Live is still running till today on Inspiration FM and other media outlets.
Wow, what a beautiful story. We'll still come to Radio Link, we'll still come to Soni Irabor Live. We'll get to that. Now, Uncle, what has broadcasting not done for you?
It hasn't given me the money I want. It has been very good to me. It didn't make me a super rich man, But it's made me to meet the most unexpected of people, heads of state, top echelons of society, local and international. I've traveled the 5 continents of the world, so I don't know what it hasn't done for me. I'm very happy. Seriously.
All right. Now, talking about all the people you have met, who is the greatest person that you have met or that journalism has brought you in contact with? One individual.
Oh, gosh. Okay, the one that is alive now is President Bill Clinton. He The one that is gone, who was also on my program, is President Jerry Rawlings, who died just recently.
Yeah.
Jerry Rawlings gave me one of my best interviews on Soni Irabor Live in April 2000. And it was at the presidential suite of the Transcorp Hilton. Now it was called Nikon Hilton in those days. It became Transcorp Hilton. And he gave me one of the best interviews I can ever think of. I feel so sad because that interview, I've been looking for it, but AIT tells me that
they can't lay their hands on
it.
Wow.
Very sad.
Wow.
And that was where this man, in a most emotion-laden, format, when I asked him, offhandedly, I just asked him, why did you kill those 12 guys? And Jerry Rawlings kept quiet for what may have been like more than 30 seconds. And by the way, 5 seconds of dead air is a long time.
I know.
So many 30 seconds super long. And my cameraman, may he so rest in peace, Yakubu Elams from AIT, he focused on Jerry Rawlings squarely, the tightest close-up I've ever seen, when Rawlings was thinking of how to answer that question.
The question.
And the way he answered it, he said, if I hadn't ordered the killing of those men, I would have died. I would have died. And the matter was not in his hands alone. It was just the head of state. And don't forget, he was just starting then. So 1979.
Wow. Wow, I love that.
Because I was sitting so close to him, I felt the energy of his discomfort.
Wow.
And that's the thing about interviewing people.
Yes. All right. I love that. I love it. Now, Uncle, what is your take on the current state of broadcasting in Nigeria?
My take will be this. Broadcasting is an evolving profession. It's an evolving phenomenon. You understand what I said?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. It evolves. It grows. So the way broadcasting was when I started is not exactly the way it is today. In those days, it was government owned, and it also had limited number of practitioners. But today, you have quite loads of people, from privately owned broadcasting networks to the government-owned broadcasting networks. And now you have social media, where even the broadcasting networks are also having their own versions of social media. So it's so broad spectrum now that you cannot just, it's not something that you can say this is how it has evolved well. But did it go with the, what would you call it now? Did it maintain the standard it's supposed to achieve, to maintain? I wouldn't say yes, neither should I say no. You know why? Because too many people are in the pie now, and so quality control has been so watered down.
Yes, Uncle Soni, we have a whole lot of people who are into broadcasting who can speak well. How do you feel? Each time you hear people who can't pronounce words correctly, or people who make some silly and inexplicable mistakes on air.
Well, I flinch when I hear some of them. And because I'm a speech trainer, and many of the broadcasting stations send people to my school to train, and then we test them. But what we find is that some of the people who are on air, they do not really want to be trained. They are not amenable to corrections. And oftentimes when you eventually meet them one-on-one, some of them, and you tell them what your observations are, they're very polite to accept. Many of them are very polite to accept that is their mistake. But beyond that, I don't think they take it more seriously than that, and at least make an effort to correct themselves. The other thing also is, as I said at the beginning when you first asked me during the first half, I remember telling you there's no end to, I research, I update myself. Many broadcasters do that a lot. If you, and Ali Baba, who is here with you now, is also a broadcaster, apart from being a comedian. And he will tell you that in comedy, if you do not update yourself, you're on your own. You'll be left behind, and people will laugh at you. Instead of laughing at your jokes, they will laugh at you and boo you out of stage. So truly, you have to be up and doing. You have to be up to date with things that make you different. You have to try to be to excel. You know, be in charge, as it were. That's what we all try to be. Wow. Look at Bisi Olatilo, for example. He had to start his own broadcasting network. If I tell you what it took him to get to that level, and even now, how he's still managing to keep it together, you know what I'm talking about, because it's difficult. Yes. And what did he do? He started a program style and created a broadcasting station out of that style. And that's creativity at work.
Now, of all the younger broadcasters, who are you most proud of?
Honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell. I wouldn't know. Some of them tell us. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be able to tell. They're the ones who can then tell you who they are most proud of. But again, you will agree with me that if you see how some of the older ones, when I say older, they're not older than me or as old as myself, but they are older than the young ones I were talking about. If you see how they have excelled, then you also say, okay, yes, these guys are making a good account of themselves. I hope that expression is correct. You know. Somebody I have in mind is Uchendu, Ebuka Uchendu. You know, he is a lawyer. He was just I don't know. He wasn't a broadcaster, but you can see that he's researching himself and carrying his style to the point where you can see there's an element of super creativity in him. I'm proud of him. If you ask me whether he's been to any formal broadcast training, no, I'm not sure he has. Another person is Ali Baba. Ali Baba was just always inside, but he was never part of the inside. But Ali Baba was always inside. You know, and when you talk about bad thing, when they hide, and then be that.
I love that.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes, so I do.